Oh, there you are. All right, cool beans. All right, Miss Yvonne and
Hi
myself are
guys.
here. We had a cancellation. Maru couldn't make it today. So it's just us talking about dating financially. And guess what? That's okay. So you'll just get the two perspectives from the two financial coaches that, we haven't arrived, but hey, we can still talk to you about your finances. And anybody who wants to get in on this conversation, um, I am going to put the link in the chat so you can get there. And actually, I'll put it up I'll put it in the chat. That way you guys will have it. So we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm going to let Yvonne introduce herself first and go for it.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I didn't do a mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Yes. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. My name is Yvonne Brown. I bring you greetings from the lovely city of Philadelphia, also known as the city of brotherly love. I am the CEO and founder of Affirm and Pursue. I am a financial coach and I empower women to be the best version of themselves in the areas of self-love, money, manners, and purpose, because I believe when you know who you are and whose you are, which are daughters of the Most High, that you can show up more boldly and make more intentional decisions as it relates to your money matters. And I'm all about freeing queens, as I like to call them, from the shackles of debt. And that involves making sure they're budgeting with intention and that they have more than one stream of income. So if all of you out there know that it's not enough just to have one income stream. COVID has taught us that tremendously, that we need to have multiple income streams so that not only we're not a part of the statistic of unemployment, but we're just set up, right? We're set up financially so that if anything should happen, should unemployment come down our lane, should a financial crisis come down our lane, that we are in the best positions to take care of ourselves and our families. And so if you're rocking with me and you understand and that's also your financial journey, just say, hey, let me know that you're out there and you can hear me. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm happy to be here to discuss this topic about dating financially, and we welcome interaction. We want to hear from you guys out there in Facebook land what you think about this topic as well. All right, Rashida, back over to you.
All right, thanks. So I'll just go ahead and introduce myself as well. So I am Rashida Roberts, and my mission this year is to help at least 30 women. Actually, I want to help 100 people to start their journey in finances, just to be debt free. And so my goal is to work with singles and educators. You guys already know, if you follow me on Facebook, I'm hitting you guys hard with different questions about finances, different scenarios, because I love to, I like the little debates that we have going on, but to see different viewpoints and just to get people open up about talking about money. And that's what I'm going to be doing when my group coaching starts. I have a book coming out. It's called Find Your Spark, 7 Steps to Ditch Stress and Ignite Your Financial Lifestyle. And so it's all about mindset first. I'm all about mindset, setting boundaries, and then getting down to maximizing every dollar that comes through your hand. And so I know some people don't like the term financially freedom, but that's exactly what I want people to get to, is to be financially free. And so we're talking about dating today, because when you talk about finances, we have so many aspects, and I think it's crucial to have those conversations. So, well, I'm not Yvonne Brown, but I am Rashida Roberts. Where is, but I still have your name up there. There we go. So you can catch me down there at thecashflowcombo.com to pick up any resources that we may mention today. Okay. So we've already done this topic on Clubhouse, and I love it. It was so great. It was a great topic. that we talked about this past Tuesday. So hopefully we have some people join in on a conversation and feel free. I see Carol. Awesome. Hi, Carol. She's
Hey,
down there.
Carol.
Good. And I can't see every platform. I am streaming on YouTube and we're streaming on my page and in my group. What's your group called, Yvonne?
Yes, Affirm and Pursue. I'm actually going to share there now, but yeah, I made it to YouTube. Snazzy. Love it. So I'm sharing also on my personal page as well, and I will be streaming in my group. Affirm and Pursue. So come on in, queens. Let's talk.
Yeah, we are on yep, I did not have to mute it out.
So come on in, queen.
All right, super. So anyway, okay, so basically, this is kind of like, you know, with Clubhouse, we made it, you know, more conversational. So we'll just kind of jump into some of the things, and we have just like tons of questions that we're going to be talking about. So our goal is really for you to take away like what you want to start establishing for dating financially. Okay, thinking financially speaking. All right, we are not we are not relationship coaches. Okay,
that's right.
Lord knows. And Lord knows that I couldn't. So I'll give you my back history about, you know, just finances and dating period, and then I'll let Yvonne talk about that, you know, and so we're both going to talk like why we think this topic is important, what's our kind of back history about, you know, dating and finances and how this topic came about. So for me, and, you know, I like to be like transparent. So my big thing about money is boundaries. You know, I've had to learn that over the years. Well, I guess an epiphany actually in the last 2 years that, you know, I didn't really understand my own personal relationship with money. And so as I looked over, I was like, man, I'm in a cycle. I'm in a cyclical cycle. And it was all because I did not set boundaries, and not just set boundaries for other people. I didn't set boundaries for myself as well. And so when you don't have any boundaries and you don't have any goals for your money, then you tend to just spend, you know, without any restraint. So I know in relationship wise, my first relationship it was a long time, guys. Like I met him when I was 18 years old, going on 19. And then we really didn't stop dealing with each other till I was like in my 30s. So we like had a hard breakup in like 27. But I met this gentleman on college campus, and he didn't have a job at the time when we got together. And so that I'm 18. Think about it. Oh, he was 27. Let me put it like that, because then you won't get the whole background if you think like that. You know, I'm fresh out of high school, right? I've been working since I was 16 or whatever. And, you know, I found myself in that relationship taking care of his needs or his wants, not because he necessarily made me or asked me to, but I took it on as that. If you think how many women actually take on that role when their man is down, you know, that's just kind of what we do. That's part of our nurturing spirit. But, you know, with me being so young and I would say immature, not because I was an immature type person, but like I just, you know, I wasn't strong in dating. I wasn't strong in finances, you know, just getting out into the world and being on my own somewhat. And, but I remember going to the stores to buy, you know, really nice clothes. Like back in that time, you know, Palais Royal was popping, you know, getting the Ralph Lauren and the Polo and the Tommy Hilfiger, and just really trying to make him feel good about himself, and buying all kind of Christmas presents and things like that. I remember always, like, you know, I would go get groceries. I would go get, you know, food, like eat out. Like we would eat out, like, and I would always buy pizza. I don't know why, but so I see all of, like, when I look back, I see all of the stuff, and sometimes I did not even have the money to be doing that. Like I would purchase stuff on credit card, because again, I'm 18, 19 years old. I didn't have a nest egg of wealth, I'm working and then paying for things. And so, but I don't think I ever really let him know, about that or whatever. So that was just something that I did. And then, so fast forward, several years later, like just a few years ago, I dated somebody, and I found myself, I mean, I had, like, by this time, I had dealt with so much in the last relationship that I actually, found my voice, but I also still found that I made sure I protected whatever I needed to pay for, I paid for, right? But at the same time, I could see that this person was always asking me, like, pay for things, paying for tires, paying for, just stuff that, you should handle. And it's like, where do you put your foot down? Like, you want to be there for somebody, but like, by the time we had broken up, I still had the bills, right? I still have bills that I was paying for him. And then it's like, when you see those bills, but y'all ain't together, it is, I mean, it's like just a little knife just poking you, just like, you shouldn't have did that, right? You shouldn't have did that. You should have spoken up, should have said something. But I always still made sure that my stuff was secure. I made sure that I could pay it without ruining, my livelihood, protecting my four walls as well. But it's still, that still doesn't make it right, because I have debt that I needed to pay off. Like I've been advancing my own self. I didn't have an emergency fund. And so there were times, like when we sat down to like go to dinner or something, oh my God, there was like a unspoken silence. Like, who's gonna pay?
Who's on first?
We're looking, and in my head, I'm like, okay, look, I know I'm always paying for stuff because that's just that type of person I am. So going Dutch and things like that doesn't bother me. But at the same time, after you feel like, okay, at some point you stop and thinking like, man, this relationship is, not right. Like, you need to be, putting on the table, paying for when we go out and things like that. And so, I noticed, when I did start speaking up, a little silence treatment, I started getting and things like that. So that's kind of like background. I can see the communication issues with not talking about finances. But I can still see like, oh my gosh, even though I didn't make it a big deal, it still was really a big issue because I don't know if, I'm pretty sure a lot of couples don't talk about finances, and we just kind of have it like this unspoken word about what it is that we should do. And then at the end, it ends up being a problem. And so this is why we want to have these conversations. So yeah, well, that's my bad.
Amen. No, that's real, Rashida. I will preface by saying that I too haven't really been dating seriously for a while, and that's my choice. But I can just give you a brief overview of why I chose to stay centered on my financial goals and crush debt, right? Because that's what I teach and that's what I want. Debt freedom for all queens, right? Men too, kings and queens. But my target market is really females. There was a point in my life where I was not in the right mindset concerning my money matters. I was always independent in the fact of I always had my own coins. And so that to me, I never had a level of expectation, even while dating, even when I was dating way back when, someone doing for me. And that's just because of the strong matriarch that I had in my life, my mother. She always taught us to be independent in that aspect. However, lack and self-limiting beliefs and a poverty mindset happened in other ways in my life, right? In terms of me not being prepared for when I was unemployed in 2013, right, through 2014. And that did mess a lot with my self-esteem, and it messed a lot with my thinking towards how I viewed money and how I operated in that space. But when it came to dating, I was always one that I made sure that I was prepared no matter what. And yes, I had guys take me out, and so my story is a little bit different than yours in the sense that I didn't look for, him to pay, but there was in the back of my mind a little bit of expectancy, but I was always prepared, right? I always say, you know what, I'm going to have my card or my cash just in case. And most of the guys that I dated were pretty much good with that. There were a couple that were kind of cheap. And in those instances, it was kind of like a one and done, in the sense that I've learned that first date is going to be, okay, if we want to go out, and I know it's hard now with COVID, but way back then, if we're going to go out, let's just meet up somewhere. Let's just go get a Starbucks or tea or something. And I'm going to pay for my tea. You're going to pay for your coffee latte. And if we've invested 30, 45 to an hour, and we feel like this is not going anywhere, then guess what? I'm okay with that, because all I spent was $3, $4 out of my pocket, and I've gone my separate way. So in terms of dating, I'm more aware in terms of the questions and the things that I need to be concerned with. And that's why we have a list of questions here for you guys to weigh in on, because it's been a while for you, girl. So I just want to hear what other people feel about these questions that we'll pose in a second, regarding dating, especially if you are dating with the intent for marriage, especially if you are a male or a female and you are not casually dating, right? What are the expectations that you have? How has your mindset, your behavior shifted? Because we know that money matters, and how you handle money, a lot of it has to do with behavior, right? So how has from when you were younger to now, what is your thoughts on some of these questions? Like I shared with you, I was always independent, so I made sure that I was prepared to the best of my ability. But we want to know what you think. Should you date someone that's not financially stable? Would you date someone on a budget? I know Rashida had posed in her group a video that Anthony O'Neill had put out there, that he told a girl that he was dating that he had a budget, and she had a problem with that. If a guy told you that, would you have a problem with that? If he said that he was on a budget and he couldn't take you to a $500 dinner or whatever, would you have an issue with that? When should you discuss finances? So these are questions that I think needs to be brought to the table, and we need to have honest dialogue about it. And I want to say, in my group, when we do live, it's a no judgment zone, right? So Rashida, I don't know if you want to have that same rule, that this is a no judgment zone. Everyone's opinions are warranted. We're just having honest, grown folk conversation here, because everyone's experiences are different and everyone's expectations are different. So that's what I'll lead with. And yes, so I don't know if we want to just go right on into the questions now and talk about them. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a no judgment zone, because like, even, on my page, I'll ask a lot of questions and I will dig in. And so sometimes I have to just say, look, I'm just asking questions, don't get offended, because people really come in with a feeling. And, because I'm an educator, that's just part of my job. I'm always probing to get you down to thinking, to think about different things. And my big philosophy is that all of this is made up. Okay. There's no right or wrong, unless it's like a moral sin or something. Like, you know, dating is a phenomenon that we as humans have made up. How it should actually go is going to be different and contingent upon each person.
Yes.
Now I heard you say something. So like, what are the questions? Like, I'm kind of like moved to the side, but you said something in your speech. You were talking about one of the guys was too cheap. And
Yeah.
so when we think about that, you know, like, and see, because you know, women, we're always like, hey, we want money. I mean, we want men. You know, we want a good man, and da da da. But what if a good man is cheap? You know, like what if like why did that? You know, the lack of money or the lack of his spending or whatever it was, why did that deter you? And this is no judgment, okay? This is no judgment. Just asking, because I mean, there are plenty of us out there, like, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't just the cheapness. There were some, you know, we're specifically focusing on dating financially, but there were some other things as well. I feel that sometimes it's okay if you can to allow yourself to just, you know, splurge a little bit if it's within your budget. At that point in my life, we didn't have no other bills. Like it was we really didn't have any major bills like we do now as grown folk, like I use the term adulting. And at that point in my life, when I looked at him, I felt as though my expectation was, well, I'm your girl, you know, we're dating, we've been out a couple of times, and I'm like, okay, we can't just go to the table and break bread and you not feel like you know, what is this about? But like I said, I'm more mature in the mindset now regarding how money and finances are supposed to be. Back then, I looked at it as we truly don't have no bills. We don't have a car. No, we don't have a mortgage. You know, like we're really, you know, we're really out here starting. And undergrad guys, I didn't have loans as my undergrad. My student loans was my graduate program. He didn't either. So I felt as though, you know, we're two young adults, we're getting to know one another, we have been out on a few dates, we don't have any major bills. What's the problem? I know you're making a little bit of coin. So that was my thinking back then. Like, why are you being so cheap and nickel and diming things?
And so, and you have to look at that characteristic of the person too, because people think like once you get married, like things are gonna change. No, the person you met and the walk that y'all been walking on, that is the person. Like sometimes there's those crazy things that, you know, flip, where you got those personalities that flip on you once y'all get married, and then they reveal the truth. So like, you know, that frugalness and that cheapness actually, you know, continues down the line, because I remember, I mean, it like as soon as you started talking about this, it just makes so much sense. You know, like, you know, I'm very giving or whatever, but I'm pretty responsible money wise, but I still didn't have all the puzzles to the pieces. But I remember one time, like we went out on a date, you know, the big place down here to go to, like rodeo, or where I don't even know where we're going. I just know it was at the Reliance Center, because I'm in Texas, guys. And so it is a huge, like if you just park in one of their parking lots, it's a good walk to get to the place. So I'm the kind of type like, dude, pay the $20 so we can go or whatever. It'd be up close, because I remember, I don't know exactly where we're going. I think it was the Reliance, but it was somewhere. And I had on heels. Now I'm not pretty much a person, because I work as an educator, and you know, I'm always on the floor, you know, helping kids, you know, doing all kind of stuff. So I was wearing heels, and I did not want to be walking a mile just to get to, you know, our destination. And he's cheap. Oh my gosh. I was so upset. So it's little things like that. Like, you got to really know who the person is, because we think like, you know, we shouldn't talk about finances. But it's little stuff like that continues, you know. It's like every time. So I would have to know that, you know, hey, if we're going to an event or a concert or whatever, I'm going to be walking. So I'm not going to be wearing heels, but he wants me to, you know, wear heels. But dude, if you're not going to give me the first class service when we go to X, Y, and Z, I'm not wearing heels. So if you want to see me in heels, then you need to gonna come out the pocket with the $20 or the $40 or whatever it is to park, because that's just what it's gonna have to be. So you really have to know, like, you can't get upset. And this is, I think, stuff like that is like when people, if you're dating attention and you actually want to get married, this is when people start, hiding money, keeping secret stuff. My money is my money, so they can do with it what they want. So one of our questions that we have is, should you date if you're not financially stable? Should you date if you're not financially stable? What do you think about that? And I know it kind of depends on, okay, let's think about, we know most college students, like, you got to think about the stages, right? So maybe look at a, early college student, that's different, as opposed to you grown, you supposed to be real grown out here, like you in your 30s. We ain't doing the basement playing video games at your mama's house anymore. Like, you grown out here.
We're a grown adult. Yes, we're a whole grown person now.
Exactly, you're a whole grown person. Should you be dating if you are not financially stable? So we're gonna give it to the people at our target audience with this question is, you're grown. Okay, you're not trying to make it in college, because in college we date because that's what we do. So, all right, I'm gonna let you take it out. Well, what do you think? And if you guys out there, I'm trying to look to see if you have. I want to see
if we have any comments, Rashida. Let's go to the audience. Let's bring up some comments and see what we have. Let's see.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't even looking at the comments.
Yes, let's bring them on in.
All right, let's see. Here we go. So, Debbie Brown, let's see, what do you have? Just to be honest, while you're dating about finances, you really should you really shouldn't, I think you mean should or should not, which one? Get too deep into it unless you're looking to marry. Okay, good. If you are open and honest, it gives a chance for the individual to decide if they can handle it and want to build together. All right. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to comment on it, and then I'll let Yvonne comment on it. So what I think is, so we want to date intentionally, right? But if you don't start talking about it beforehand, and see, a lot of people skip marriage counseling, and that's when a lot of people start learning real stuff about their mate. And I mean, it's like, it's the stuff that
it's an eye opener. Yes,
exactly. And finances is something that I feel like, I don't feel like it during the dating stage. It needs to be like you are counting somebody's pockets, every single time y'all go out or whatever. But I think it needs to be an understanding, especially like if you're at my, late 30s or whatever, and you're starting to thinking about your future, you really should be thinking about the partner that you're going to be with, and if they do have financial plans and financial goals. Maru's not here today, but one of her things that she was talking about was that, she had kids from a previous marriage, because her husband, she was widowed, and so she had to think about finances because she had her kids to think about. And so, that's part of protection. It's not that, if I decide, or when I decide to date and get with someone, they're going to have to be financially stable. I'm sorry. I can't. Like, if I'm dating for intention, I want to make sure that this person is not going to squander their money. They're not going to be hiding money. They want to actually, I don't want to be working at 65. And then at 65, here comes all the medical issues in the world. Like, I want to retire within the next 10 years, and I'm going to be working hard, and not just retire to sit home, but to retire to do my passion, so I could, start orphanage with one of my friends. Like, we're very passionate about kids and, their upbringing when they don't have family and things like that. So their trajectory about their finances for me is going to be big, because I feel like we just have this whole Black empowerment movement with George Floyd and everything. So I want to be that couple where we can put people in position, into place, to make difference, to make impact. And so finances to me is very important. If you're just somebody who wants to be, because I know for a fact, I've talked to friends in the past, like they're not happy with their husbands because they stay in one position and they have like no ambition, in their job to get a better finance or whatever that is. And so like it makes a difference about it. You still want to enjoy that person, but their mindset around money matters. And so you need to kind of get an understanding of that before you get married, because that's the number one reason why people get divorced. And so these days divorce is so $500, I'm out of the deuces. Like, people don't have to stay around for that much more money. And so where society used to make it much harder, because community used to make it harder for you to get a divorce or whatever. And so I wouldn't wait, till you get super serious, because at that time, are you going to walk away, or are you just going to let the boundaries that you do have and the things that you really want go to wayside and just say, okay? Because once you start getting so emotionally involved, now you're not thinking logically, you're thinking emotionally. And what I say in my book and what I preach is that we don't want to deal with money issues in an emotional way. But I still think that that's still a great comment. So Debbie, I'm not necessarily talking about you necessarily.
No. This is good. This is good.
I'll just put that out there. But yeah, I like how Debbie said, if you're open and honest, it gives the chance for the individuals to decide if they can handle it and want to build together. So I do agree with that. So yeah, definitely.
I want to also add that, but just piggyback off of, and I'm going to keep saying this, that mindset is important. Your values are important, right? And the other biggest thing when you talk about not only money being a deal breaker, but there are other things that people will not negotiate on, and that could be your belief system. Do you serve Buddha or do you serve God? I mean, there are other major things that people can break on if they do not talk about these things, right? And so I believe that if you are dating with the intention to be married, finances need to be talked about. First couple of days, honeymoon, I still call it the honeymoon phase, even though you're not married yet, but you're getting to know the person. You have to look at their actions. You're going to see how they handle money. Start bring up scenarios, talk about, maybe, I don't know, throw out some money things that you can talk about and see how they answer it. Bring out the new news. I used to be in history class, and I remember my teacher always saying, okay, our today's current events, talk about those things with the person that you're dating and see how they answer it. Look at their actions as it concerns money and see if it aligns with what your belief system is on how you handle money. You might be the ultimate saver, because you ultimately want to invest and have multiple properties. Does that align with the person that you're looking to be involved with long term? It's key. And for me, I just have certain non-negotiables, and one of them is I have to be aligned with the person that I'm looking to marry one day when it comes to finances, because I never want that to be a frictional point of conversation in our relationship. And I'm not saying that the person has to be perfect, right? But what I'm saying is we have to align at least on certain things that are crucial for us to be happy, for us to build a family, for us to build legacy on, and finances is one of them. And I do know that people are gonna say, oh, you shouldn't. No, you need to have those crucial conversations, because if you don't, what do you have? Love don't pay the bills, people. I'm just gonna be honest. I can love you all day, but it doesn't pay the bills. I was unemployed for a very long time, and I could not imagine going through that with someone. I was so miserable, y'all. Like, it was horrible, because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so I just want to make sure that going out the gate, we have an understanding of how we're going to handle certain things. And I need to know where your mindset is concerning that. That's key. And then Maru's not here. And she did talk about the fact that she had kids. That's another added component. When you're dating someone again, you're getting back out there and you have children involved, you have to protect your children. God entrusted them to you, right? So you have to look for that partner that has that same mindset, that they want to build with you, that they want to protect not only you, but your children. Because when you blend, you're a package deal. There is no, oh, that's your kids, and then that's not my. No, you're a package deal. That's your bonus children. So it's important that finances, or the discussion of finances and where you align with that, is put on the table. I'm telling you, put it on the table. One of the things, one of the quotes that I say is that I'm focused on building assets and not my credit. And, some people may disagree with that. That's fine. This is honest dialogue. But if I'm building assets, Rashida, and I have a lot of assets, I got to make sure that the person that I'm dating, and especially if it's going to the next level, that they understand exactly what that means, right? They understand that a house is not an asset until it's paid off for. Like, no, babe, it's not, it's a lie. It's not, we got multiple houses, it's an asset. No, babe, it's not.
Exactly.
It's still a liability because I owe. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
and we need to tackle that with full force.
Just stuff like that. I just need to make sure. And because I know better now, right? I'm able to have those conversations in love, right? And I'm able to have those conversations with not coming off as cocky, with not coming off as, no, because dating is getting to know someone. This is why we do it. So I just wanted to put that out there, that you have to put that on the table. And you'll know if you're spending time with this person and, you're watching how they handle things, you're watching what they're saying, you'll know. And you have to do your best to think logically through this and try not to get too emotionally tied up in it.
Amen. Look, y'all, she had a whole word. Misha said, preach, Yvonne. Preach. Debbie said, I'm right. I'm right. So definitely. But yeah, you had a whole word there. But I totally agree, because we're always talking about, I hear it all the time, good debt and bad debt. No, debt is debt. Because here's the thing. You gotta, and we're getting off a little topic, but I'm gonna say this: you gotta get up for that debt. Think about the time away from your house, the time away from your passions, the time away from your kids, from your family, from doing the things that you actually want to do. That debt is the time that you have, it's taken away from your life. It is taken away from your life. Just if you had one of those yokes that the ox have to put on in order to pull, whatever it is, the farmer or whoever owns them, pull that weight. That's what debt is. It's a heavy yoke around our neck. And so if you're carrying that, I don't care what it is, because you don't really own your house until you own your house. And guess what? And even then, while we're in this world, we're still leasing it. You still, if you don't pay your taxes, they can take it away from you.
That is very true. Yeah. We ain't never free.
Yeah, we only free a little bit. Just a little bit. So, but at the same time, for the answer to the question for me, should you date if you're not financially stable? If you're dating with intention, okay, no, you don't need to be dating. Because intention, you're dating intention to be married, and to be married, you don't need to just be getting married just for love. You're gonna need to be able to provide a household. You're gonna need to be able to provide security. Okay, people get married because they want certain aspects, that not just the name of marriage. They want the protection that it comes with, and protection financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, to be covered. All of that comes with marriage. And so if you're not prepared to go down that road. It's like, and I love what another influencer, I can't remember her name right now, but she always talks about the struggle relationships. When you get into relationships when you have to carry somebody else, that is a struggle relationship. Just like her. So I had to understand, like, dang, man, I've been in a whole bunch of struggle relationships, and I ain't doing that no more. I'm not carrying you. You can't go to your job and ask them to carry you. Most of the time, they're not going to, like, you can't, you got to stop carrying people. We got to, stop babying people, grown folks. If you're biblical, Bible say man shouldn't eat if he don't work, right? And like right you have to look at people's, our finances are directly tied to our habits. And this is why most people do not want to talk about their finances, because they really have to own up and face it and look exactly in their own face to see what they've done. I talk about this in my book, how $30,000 went missing. But hey, the bank records show exactly what happened. And so during that time period, if somebody wanted to, intentional and looking at me as a potential partner, they probably would not want to be with me. Like, you blew $30,000. What happened? Why?
And so Rashida, if we're honest, we've all done things financially that we're not proud of. But I believe that we can always start anew, right? I believe that, first of all, God gives us multiple chances to get it right. And so don't ever dwell in your past mistakes. Just learn from now what you need to do to get your finances in order. And so if you're looking to date, that and you don't have the funds to do so, to show that person a nice time, to whatever, especially if you're dating with the intention of marriage, then you should take the time you need to get yourself together. Because guys, lack of finances, there's a stress point to that, and stress is a silent killer. So you don't want the fact that someone is looking at you sideways, like, what are you doing? That could be like a judgment point. And then you yourself know deep down inside that you can't even do for yourself. So how can you do for this person? Take the time, and just get it together. And then she not going nowhere. He not going nowhere. God knows who he has for you anyway. So just take the time and get your finances together. And then God will bring you the queen or king that you should have, and you guys can date, and you guys can talk about that financial thing, and what all y'all stuff y'all do.
Because we don't have to have the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
We're missing out.
We don't need to live in that. And see, this is what the world has us thinking, that we have to do everything now.
Yes.
As a Christian, your job is not to be like the world. Okay, we are here in the world, but we are not of the world. In God's time, look to Him. You don't have to have we want to get the house now. Just because your credit score is at a certain place, you still might have a lot of debt. Don't get the house.
Wait. Yeah.
Wait.
We got some other
issue with waiting. I like what Carol said. She said, if you are dating with purpose, you need to know about that person's relationship with money. And look, I always say that relationship with money. That's my favorite. That's what I did out the gate, because it is a relationship with money.
It is.
It is. And so I love it. Debbie had a great comment. It says, my husband was not in the best space financially while we were dating, but he had a plan and goal. And because of his honesty, I had faith in him. Plus, he has wonderful heart character, and his plan and goal worked. It wasn't easy, but I stood by him, and now we are building together, and he is an amazing provider. Ooh, Yvonne, dissect that what she said.
So I'm dissecting this because I know her hubby. That's my brother-in-law, right? But no, but he, you guys had a conversation, right? They can't see my mouth, Rashida. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys had a conversation, right? Queen, you understood where he was, right? But you guys were aligned. I'm going to just pull up the screen so they can see my mouth. Thank you. because I'm like this.
My computer was going slow, so I was trying to fix it.
No worries.
I
You
ain't got
guys,
that fast gigabytes over here, okay? We just got through with snow, bitch. Help.
but, but you guys were aligned, Debbie. You accepted based on his honesty and his truth, right? That he didn't have it all together. The fact that he came to you and he was just transparent about it, kudos to him for doing it, because I know that that takes a lot for a male, right, to even share that with someone, right? But the fact that you were able to accept that and you trusted him, once again, right? You might have seen, I'm sure you saw, because you're married now, his behavior, right? His actions and the things that he were doing while you were dating to set you guys up for the future. That's all I'm saying, guys. Please don't mistake that I'm saying that when you meet somebody and they say to you, listen, this is what's going on. I'm not saying you should throw them in the garbage. I'm not saying you should dismiss them. They could be the best of the best. Their heart, their intention is there. I'm just saying, just talk about it. Have an honest conversation and see if you know deep down and after you pray about it, if this is someone that you can build with. And I'm sure, Debbie, by looking at his actions and how he handled things, maybe he went out and got 2 jobs. I don't know. He might have. Maybe you saw that he was selling things because he needed to pay down debt. Maybe he got a tenant to help him pay. You saw him doing things that really said, you know what, he's not in the best place right now, but because I know that he really cares about me and he knows how important my financial health, our financial goals are important to me as a family before we get married, I'm gonna trust him, right? I'm gonna trust him, and I'm gonna go ahead and stay for the long haul with him. That's all I'm saying. Just have the conversations, but watch people's behaviors, because behaviors is key. After a while, the mask is gonna fall off, right? You're gonna see somebody do something like, yeah,
you better say that.
But all I'm saying is, I know that you were led because you're attuned with God. And because I know Debbie, I know that her relationship is of such with God. So I know that you were led to do that, and you watched how he put certain things in place. And he wasn't just talking the talk just because. He was actually walking exactly what he said he was going to do. And he showed you those things. And because he was working that thing out, you felt more comfortable. Right, there you go, right? You felt he was showing you. He wasn't just lip service. You got to be careful with the people that's just lip service. If I tell you I'm going to pay down X amount of debt, I'm going to show you that I'm doing it because I'm serious about you, right? And I care about you, and I don't want to lose you because you're a good thing. So that's all I'm saying.
I mean, because there's some environments that we don't live in. There's some environments that I can never fathom living in or being in, because when your household is not protected financially, things happen and people make decisions that can actually ruin the relationship. Like, I hate to mention stuff like, women, can get put into positions where they're pimping themselves out, right? So they can take care of the household. That's not anything that I have ever been a part of or could fathom doing, but how many, like, there are people in that lifestyle, but at the same time, like, I remember the couple on the movie, and if you remember this movie, you would know what I'm talking about. He offered to give the couple $1 million to sleep with his wife just for one night. The Indecent Proposal, that's what it was. I don't know if you ever seen that movie.
I've never seen that one.
They struggled so much financially, but I mean, I know we like to just think of like the, all the nice little things, or financial, but when people get into some real financial issues, things like this, pop up. And this is like, just like our behaviors, that we watch people with their behaviors, because that shows up, later on in a relationship. How they treat other people is how they treat you, but how they treat their finances is also, how they're going to treat you. Are they diligent over it? I remember, because I've been in my younger years, in my 20s, I used to work as a mental health intake coordinator, and so I got the calls with people who wanted to set up counseling appointments and things like that. And a lot of times, I'm telling you, these women, call in about their husbands having gambling issues, and they have squandered away all of their assets. They are homeless now, and obviously, they're looking to have a divorce, but like that's part of being a provider. Like you just squandered away everything. But I even remember stories about my grandmother having to get a second and third job to keep food on the table. And these were times where she didn't have a car. She walked everywhere. She rode the bus or whatever to take care of the 4 or 5 kids that she had, because my granddad squandered the money away. He got a paycheck, but when he came home, where was the paycheck? It was gone. He either used it on booze or he gambled it, like, playing down at the whatever, for whatever men do after work before they come home. But it makes for a tough life. And so if that's the life that you want to live, then hey, don't say nothing. Be quiet. Date. Shut up. Don't say one word about finances and go into the finances with your blinders on and act like it doesn't exist. And so we have that part for you. This is why learn this up front. So that was the first question. Say another question is, in which both of us right now, I know we're going to answer yes to this. Would you date someone on a budget? So Yvonne touched on the topic of, I hear some background noise. Is that me or you?
It's probably me. Hold on.
So would you date someone on a budget? Oh my gosh. And I know, Yvonne, you talked about the posted. Now, this was a couple of years ago that Anthony O'Neill had posted this post about the girl. She basically ghosted him because he told her, like, he couldn't go out on that date that month because it would have gone over his budget. But if they're still talking, I don't know if he actually said if they're still talking, he'll put it in for next month. I think he just said he will put it in next month, but I don't quote me on that. But basically, because you can infer that because he was on a budget and could not go to the restaurant where it was like $500 a plate, somewhere around there, like $250 per person or something like that, and he wasn't able to go, and he would have budgeted for next month. So that gives me 2 questions. Would you date somebody on a budget? Oh my gosh, I got the last one. And the second question was I cannot remember the second question, but go ahead and answer that question. It'll pop up in my head as soon as you start talking.
Well, because I budget now, and it has become naturally a part of who I am. My family will have a budget. It will be visible. Oh, with me somewhere on somebody's fridge, some Google Drive that's shared. So listen, because you know what, the pain of going back into the vicious cycle of owing, of debt, of not being prepared. I know what that felt like. And so I'm learning from that, lessons learned, and budget helps me to stay on track. I know some gurus out there think budgets suck. No, budgets let me know where I'm assigning my money. It lets me know where I am free to spend and where I am free not to spend. And so it is a part of a financial plan that you need to have. And so, yes, if I would not have a problem with someone who was on a budget. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you told me that, Yvonne, listen, we can't do that this month because of, I would be curious to know, like, what's going on. Like, I would have that conversation, not in a nosy type of way, but I would be interested to know, like, yeah, what's going on? Are you, what are you planning on doing? Like, what's, he could, who knows? He could be maybe filtering money towards an investment or building a business. You just never know what's happening with the man that you're looking to marry eventually, right? So I would have no problems doing it because I know I'm going to be doing it. And if it doesn't fall in line with my monthly goal, then I'm sorry, I can't do it this month. because
Yeah,
it's a habit that I have formed, right? And
mhm.
so it's a good habit. And it would be kind of weird for me to fall out of that now. Like it would seem almost, I wouldn't feel good about myself, right? And I don't want to have any, what do they call it? Buyer's remorse. That feeling doesn't feel good either. I'm not swiping a card because that's debt. So I'm not tapping into my savings that's I have already planned for something. So there's things that I'm doing now that is creating a healthy relationship with money. And I'm also setting up boundaries with certain things. That's a part of who I am right now that I couldn't see doing anything different because all of these things are working out for my good. So I wouldn't have a problem with dating someone who said they're on a budget.
Yeah. And Yvonne, and while you were talking, I was thinking of several things. One, people, I know a lot of people think, well, they can afford it or whatever, but this is what I say all the time. And because my uncle told me this, and so I love it, and I'm still in it, and yeah, but I always give him credit though. He said, whatever happens at the top is happening at the bottom. So just because somebody could be making $500,000 a year, and they still have a budget for dating, especially, if they're out there or whatever. Same as somebody who's making 60,000 a year, because when you make more money, you do things at a bigger scale, right? So, and to date, I feel like there's so many things that you're doing. Like when you, and this is okay. So when you're dating, this is something we talked about on Clubhouse the other day, is that, and I feel guys have it worse because they are usually responsible for paying for dates. Not everybody thinks like that, but they usually are. Like that's the norm in America. I can't talk about other countries, but imagine, because we have all these rules for dating. Like you have dating, right? And you can see anybody who you want to. Then there's like we're talking exclusively, I guess. And then there is then maybe you're in a relationship, like an exclusive relationship, and then then whatever the next steps. But like, I don't know. All of a sudden, there are so many rules to dating, and if you're dating, that means that you get to see anybody. Like, and how many dates would you be willing to go on, and what are you going to budget for those particular dates? It can be very expensive very quickly, like very expensive. I know just with myself and a former friend, like just to go out with ourselves, we would be spending 75, $80 just to go out. And being single, you just kind of just like do whatever, because I'm single, I can do what I want to when I want to. So that's what we doing. And it gets expensive, it's then you tip, and we always tipping for the people. Cause like you ain't gonna put no bad name on my people. Like we tip. So you can't make it look bad. But so guys, let's say, the average date you're spending $100 or whatever, how many people are you dating? And so, and then there's other people out there like, well, there's no cost to love. And like, okay, you're right, but are you single or are you married? Let's think about that. But another thing I was thinking too was that when you are, we can even teach our kids to date responsibly, because when kids get like 16, 17, 18, just give them a card like, hey, this is your dating card. If they're not working, they're asking mom and dad for money, right? Get a prepaid card and say, look, you have $50 this month to take your girl, or or if you're dating a guy, like if you want to get your nails done, your hair done, or whatever it is, this is all you got for dating. Okay, so you better make it work. You got to barter and trade or something, but I'm not giving you any other money. If you're trying to go buy a new skirt or a new pair of shoes or whatever, that's all you're gonna get. And so really getting our kids conscious, like, because you can be like, if you have goals and you have dreams, if we're always working towards a goal and a dream, that will keep us, on progress and in task. And I know somebody right now, a colleague of mine. Well, we don't work together anymore, but like she's so much further ahead of me financially, but like, and she had such great advice, on the way. And So yeah, I just, man. So would I date somebody on a budget at this age? I definitely would, because I wish somebody would have put me on a budget a long time ago.
It'll
A
save
long
your
time ago.
life. Save your financial life. Look like we got some comments, Rashida.
Carol says, you want to read that one?
Budgets are a beautiful thing. I am gaining wisdom and discipline in this area. It helped me purchase a new car last year, and now I'm working towards home ownership. I have a house fund envelope. Yes, kudos to that strategy. Yes, I know some people who use the envelope strategy in order to know where their money is being assigned. So kudos to you, Carol. She is a part of the Affirmative Pursuit tribe. So good job, Queen.
Awesome.
I celebrate you.
I think Don said, looking at the financial area will be managed and led with God's guidance. Good. I mean, hey,
Yes.
Look, that's what Miss Yvonne is all about. Affirm yourself in God. Okay,
Yes.
and then go ahead and pursue that money thing. Okay,
yes,
so
that's right.
she is all about that. I mean, look, I'm the same way. Mine's just not called affirm and pursue, but we got to get the mindset right, and a lot of that's aligning everything. So we totally agree. Debbie got a big one here. You can't see us.
Can't see us, but y'all can hear us, right? Okay, let's go. I've been there while dating. Couldn't do the lavish dates. Like, I was like, why can't we go here? What's going on? We just found something that was more affordable. He was newly divorced and going through a custody battle. A lot of his money was going into legal fees. Plus, he was taking care of an ill parent. I understood, but he told me to hang in there with him and he would take care of me. He kept his word. Amen. Once again, though, I'm gonna say that you saw his actions, though. You saw that he was doing things right according to pursuing you, right? Like, he knew that you were going to be his queen, and he told you what was going on with him. But if you hung in there with him, that you would be all right, because you saw his actions. And it's something about when your actions trumps your words. Excuse the word, I didn't mean to use that, but you know what I mean. When your actions just overrides your words. It's something about when you see them walking and what they say, and they're not just about lip service. That makes us as women feel more confident in this thing called dating, that we can see a man that has ambition and he's living out what he said he's going to do, and he is just not over here just saying it, like just put it out there and it just disappears and you ain't do nothing. You said that you was going to have XYZ in place by the second quarter. We now in the second quarter of the following year and ain't nothing that transpired. There's been no communication. It's something to be said about the ones that say, I'm going to do this by XYZ, and it happens by XYZ. Because right. I don't know about you, Rashida, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold you to it. You said you're gonna do it, and I'm gonna wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and the thing for
I'm going to wait and see if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna make a mental note. I'm gonna make a mental note if you don't, and don't let it happen 2 or 3, 4. Well, it probably won't get to 4 times.
Yeah, but see, look, if you're with a quality person and you're around quality people don't have to make a mental note. They're going to challenge you and they're going to hold you accountable. And so if you're okay with those quality people and you're okay with people who you trust speaking into your life, they're going to be okay with that accountability. The thing is that what I love that Debbie said is basically he's communicating. See, a lot of people don't talk about money, and so that's where the breakdown is. We've always, even just with our it's here's my thing. Everything about how we're supposed to do things have always been hush hush. We're supposed to stay in our place as a child. We're supposed to, what happens in this house stays in this house.
Stays in the house. Yeah.
We're supposed to keep silent about the pains that are going on in life because we're embarrassed about it. So we can't look, we can't talk about politics, okay? Because that's looked at in a certain way. And now we can't talk about finance. Please tell me, what can we talk about?
Yeah.
We can joke and kiki and caca and laugh, but we can't talk about the stuff that actually dictates our lives, that controls lives, that makes people happy, that makes people sad, that builds relationships, that tears down relationships, that builds ourselves up in God, that tears our relationship with God. What can we talk about, people?
Yeah.
So this is why we're having these conversations, so we can talk about it and open it up. So at this point, especially when you get old, like I feel like in our younger years, we couldn't talk about anything, and we need our youngins to talk about stuff. And this is why, like, some of the political stuff that happened last year was so fascinating to see the young people just like, man, who knew they had that voice, and
coming
like
through.
did some stuff come through. So we want them to talk about this in their relationships, because here's the thing. To build lasting wealth, most wealth is built in the family unit. The wealth that stays, the wealth that sticks, and I say that in my book, the wealth that sticks, the stuff that sticks to your ribs. You know how your grandma wants you to have some cornbread? She wants you to eat some food that stick to your ribs. It happens within families, and this is why we have to talk about it. We have to start shaming people for making these mistakes. And how can you build somebody up? How can we elevate each other and get past the mistakes that we have made? Because that's why we're having these conversations. We've talked about our next subject is going to be like church and finances, right?
Lord.
Our next subject is gonna be church and finances, but we talked about what else? What have we thought? How to save during COVID. We talked about our financial journeys, just like
boundaries.
We talked about boundaries. Yep. So but okay, there is another question, because I see our time here. So we have a couple of questions, and you can touch on anyone that you want. One, when cohabiting, because that does happen, and so we're not going to act like it doesn't happen. Some people feel like that's the step that they need to take. When cohabiting, should you keep joint or separate accounts? Even when as getting married, like, what should people do? Should they put their money together? Another question is, when does money become an issue during dating? I think we kind of touched on that one already. And do you consider someone's financial habits when dating? Yeah, we did. We kind of touched on that one, but what do you think about the cohabiting? Well, I'll answer that question first. Cohabiting.
I want to hear what the people have to say.
Well, yeah, definitely. While we're waiting on there, let's see. Hold on. Communication, yes, it was a vulnerable moment, but thank God for wise counsel and premarital and I love you said that premarital. I like, because most people, they skip it, and I'm telling you, like, I had to evaluate their first relationship that I was in for a long time, a decade. We did like a premarital counseling class or something like that, or actually we just went to the guy at church, and we had like a pre-little session or whatever. But we did have some pre-counseling books. But man, honey, it will open up some things in your eyes, and you start looking at the other person in a whole different light. And you have to, like, man, because see, what the pre-counseling does is it really, even though you're in your feelings, it kind of takes you out of your feelings and just start trying to look at things logically. And so you start looking at person differently. You start looking at things differently, because you're like, well, hey, how we're gonna make this work? Because see, like, there's a quote by Muhammad Ali. He talks about the pebble in your shoe. And see, if you don't deal with the pebbles in your shoes, you're not going to get to the mountaintop, because you avoided that, and that's going to be the downfall of your faith. Like, it's like your Achilles tendons, and so you have to deal with those. So definitely wise counsel.
I'm loving the comments coming through, people.
I know, great comments.
I'm going to be honest, ladies. I was so scared. I took a leap of faith. I trusted God and leaned not unto my own understanding, allowing God to direct my path. That's normal. And I know, Debbie, because I know you, I know you came from a single parent's perspective, having to manage your own money and knowing what you needed to take care of you and your son, right? And then now you're entrusting that to someone who says, listen, I still ain't got it together, but still hang on in there with me. And so I know that you had a lot of conversations with you and God regarding that, especially knowing that you were just so tight on your finances as a single mother, and knowing you had to stretch in order to take care of you and your son. So I wish you could hop in and talk to us about that if you feel like it, but if not, that's okay. But
Yeah. Click on
it's
that
something.
link that I put in the chat.
Yeah, if you want to, anybody want to come in the studio, we would love to have you, see your faces up here, but and talk to us about that perspective, because I don't have that perspective. Rashida doesn't have that perspective. I know Maru, who wasn't able to join us tonight, she was a mother, she was married, and then she was widowed, and then she got remarried. But you have the perspective. You were a single parent, taking care of your child, and now you were looking to be married for the very first time. And so would love to hear your perspective on that if you want to join us on the StreamYard. But yes, it's I always say that I see God first in all things, because when I was in a dry and weary place years ago, I had to fall to my knees and ask him, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? And I'm in a place now where I understand that he allowed those things to happen to me so that I could be here today with my girl Rashida, pouring into you guys, and helping you to understand why we need to have these conversations. So I'm grateful that you put that out there. And every comment that you've made, you talked about how God was in it. You trusted him, and you had to search for him for the confirmation, or you wouldn't have done it, because your mama couldn't tell you, your sister couldn't tell your auntie. And guys, when you're going through, even with dating financially, that's the other part that I just want to throw in there. And I'm not trying to convert nobody. I'm not, but I'm a Christian. I know Rashida is. And I say that, for those of us who believe that it is important to seek wise counsel, which is God in this thing, right? And make sure that you're hearing him clearly. We had a guest on Thursday that said she had to put on her listening ears, right? She had to hear God clearly for the man that God would have for her. And now she's married to him. And if she didn't do that, if she didn't put on her listening ears and really counsel him, for that next level of her life, for that next season of her life, regarding her emotions, her finances, she would have missed out on a good thing, right? And so thank you, Debbie, for raising that point and not leaning onto your own understanding, because a lot of us do it. I know I did in my season of financial lack, and I had to be brought to my knees in order for me to get back to that place, and really dig into scripture and to the biblical principles that was always there from the beginning that I just didn't do, right? So guilty as charged. Thank you for raising that. We have another comment from Diana. Hey, Diana. Hey, sis.
She says, in my opinion, if you're not married, and this was on the question on should you do joint accounts, if you're not married yet, I would not recommend joint finances. He has not committed, so the money should stay apart. Yeah, I think I would have to agree, especially with cohabitating. I know we have a lot of common law married and people. I have some reservations on just different things. Not that I'm totally against it or whatever, but I know what. Well, let me just stay on topic, okay? But I agree with that, keeping your money separate, but even some people think, when you get married, like that should be a thing. But definitely while you're dating, you're not really committed, and that can be really messy and sloppy. And even cohabitating itself can be messy and sloppy, especially when it comes to finances. Who pays for what? Who should, like that just, especially like, okay, that one person might be single, you might be single with a child, and like, is he responsible for paying for this and that or whatever? And because really, if you're not married, you're not married. And like, you're not married and you're single until you are. And so yeah, but there are some other comments on how to look at that as well. I would recommend joining accounts with someone you're only in a dating relationship with. Thank you, Misha. Here's another comment. In my experience, a joint account did not work in a commitment. The separate accounts were better at the time.
Okay.
In my marriage, we have several joint accounts, but one personal account each. Ooh, I love that.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
way to like, because
Mhm.
even when you get married, you're still an individual person,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
there's individual dreams and hopes and things that you want to do, and like, we want to get together, but we're still separate entities, right? We're still separate
Yes.
people. So I like that. That's a good suggestion, Nisha. You want to read that one?
Come up off of her phone, sister, like this is it. I'm still transitioning from a single parent mindset to a wife. Okay. It's a journey. I'm very alpha driven, but a lot of things for my son and myself that a man should have done. So giving up that space is very hard. I struggle to this day. Thank
Mm,
you for your honesty.
mm,
That's
mm.
that's that's real.
That is
That's real.
because think about it. Like at my age, maybe at your age, you have had to be. And I just posted this today. So many people, so many women, because of the breakdown of our home, especially just within our culture. Our men are in jail. They've been, incarcerated and things like that. So we grow up with a lot of single parent homes, and you grow up with a lot of women having to dominate and be in control. Like people think, like when they see that you have your house, your car, your this, your that you're not even approachable for dating or whatever. And it's like, dude, you don't behind all of this, I'm tired. Like I am so tired and ready to rest my whole weight, the whole weight of all of this into a man's protection to just tell me now. Not that I can't help, but like we have had to be such alpha females just so we can make it in this world. And then like, but you don't see the tears, you don't see all of the other hustling that go behind the
That
hustle.
we're doing. Yeah.
Just to maintain it. And it's like, and we're out here making mistakes by ourselves. Like, dang, now we got to work more hours because we blew that or whatever it is. And they're like, seriously, I hope if like, no, don't let that stop you from approaching. Okay, don't see the stuff, y'all. I promise you, is what's inside. Like I promise you, more women are not waiting, or wanting men to step, but they want to date. Like the stuff is not about the stuff. It's really about all the non-tangibles. That you have. It's the finances is really not the finances, really about your commitment to your finances. Again, the non-tangibles. It's about, what you're going to do, your plans, your communication about the finances. And so I love that you said that, because it is a journey to do that. Like, and I feel like sometimes when I give up my control over just little things, like, and somebody drops the ball and I'm like, see, that's why I gotta do stuff myself, and so we go back and forth with that. And that is definitely so I truly do thank you with your transparency. Somebody's gonna see that, somebody younger or is on that path. Like, don't let that break your marriage. I'm not talking to you, Debbie, but for just somebody who is coming up, don't let that break your marriage, because you do have to start thinking like a one and as a pair, and things like that. So that's some great stuff right there.
Teacher Rashida, I'm raising my hand because y'all need to pray for me for now. I am so independent when it has come to everything in my life. And so I know that's going to be kind of hard for me to also it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. And that's why when we ask these questions, especially about the budgeting, and I said, no, I wouldn't have a problem. It's going to be hard for me to share that space with someone, but I do know I'm praying to God every day that he gives me the right person for me, that just aligns with my values first and foremost. And then the bonuses are, okay, Yvonne, I see how you're moving in your finances. I'm the same way. Like, I'm praying for those bonuses. I see how you move, with your love of God and how you want it in ministry. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm praying for those things because I have been so solo for so long and so independent in my thinking that some days I'm like, wow, it's going to be hard for me to break that, right? And to trust a person, with talking about, with going through the financials and all of that. But I'm praying every day that, and God knows, he knows me, he knows who I need, because he created me. But I'm just asking y'all to keep me in prayer, because that's going to be hard. That's like when, the female that has 2 or 3 closets, and now she's been living alone for so long, and now she has to share the closet with him.
Right. And so that gets to, because we had, and that gets us to this question. So I'm gonna post the other comments that we had, but that trust factor is a thing. So I'm gonna ask this last question, guys, and then we're gonna wrap it up in the next 9 minutes here. So the last question is, because of that trust factor, and because when you've had to grind, and even there are men like this as well, they've had to grind and make their own way, and so they built a certain status, and now they may have a partner who is in a lot of debt, and that causes friction, because they want somebody to be, they may have a good heart, they have everything or whatever, but they're scared to commit, because they may have a lot of debt and their financial habits are in the way, and so that causes friction. Like, it makes somebody think, because you've worked so hard, you don't want to see yourself squandered away. There are people who actually think like, hey, YOLO, you only live once, and what I make is what I make. I'm not leaving anything for anybody else. I mean, and they may have kids and family members and all of that, and they still have that frame of mind. And it's like, you got to think, like, once you get together, this person has access to your funds, like, depending on what state you're in, it is different. And so my last question is what we talked about in Clubhouse earlier this week, is prenups. Yeah. Would you be agreeable to a prenuptial when it comes to after you've dated, and would you present your partner with that if that's something you guys are seriously starting to think about marriage? Is that something that you would do? So I want you guys to put that down in the comments. What do you think about that? And then we're going to post some of the comments that you guys have said. So Debbie says, I have a personal account and access to his account. So,
all right.
Hey, what's yours is mine. What's yours is mine. I have my own savings account and my own investment accounts, Bitcoin, crypto. I get it, girl. Look, make your money, make money.
That's right.
This is my, I always tell people, this is my love language, okay? When you're talking those finances, you make money, that's my love language, okay?
Multiply, sis.
It wasn't always like that. Look, my love language used to be like, oh, I like touch. And forget that. Where's the money at, okay? How are you handling your finances? Exactly, multiply. Look, because remember what the Bible said with the man with the talents, okay? The last one put talents in the ground. And I could never understand that verse until I started until I started getting in the financial world and realm. I was like, now I understand that. It's because, I understand it. You're leaving your money in the bank and ain't making no money.
Ain't making nothing.
There ain't no money. They making money off it, but you ain't making nothing. And so it is just like, it's just like, think about it. Somebody sitting at home who has this amazing voice, opera, they could blow anybody out the window, and they would be sitting at home rotting, like not using their voice. Like, how would you feel? Like, it's a waste. You have this beautiful voice at home, and God gave you those gifts to like use them. So God gave us the money. We got to use it. It's a tool. It's a tool.
The resource.
So, yes. All right. Liddell says.
Liddell, my bro. Hey, bro.
Two become one. In my opinion, when a couple manages their money together, they're agreeing on their hopes, preach, dreams, yes, and goals, snap, and how to reach them. Okay? You both on the same team. You gotta say that if you have separate accounts and married, you don't have a money issue, you have a marriage. Girl, you better. Is that a guy?
Yeah,
you better say that. You better say that, man. Come through. Look,
come on,
now we need some testosterone on here. The next time we do this topic, we need some testosterone because y'all better come through. I need these strong brothers to come through. That's what I'm talking
it's
about
always
right
good to
there.
have a male perspective. Seriously.
Yes. I love it. So prenups, and I'm gonna let Yvonne, you got a personal message here.
It's not hard. We just stubborn. I easily submit to my husband because he submits to me, but I just have some more healing to do in order to completely transition. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because I'm trying to move out of my own way. You know, we've been talking about mindset for a very long time, and I know that that's just me. I just need to stop it. Stop it. But I just been so independent for so long, and I worry if I'm just trying to be honest. I worry about, how I'll deal with that. But I know it's going to be all right. God's going to work it out for my good. So no one has any comments about the prenup?
They married. But Yvonne, what is your take on prenuptials? Look, I'll give you.
I
Want
don't
me to give
know.
my take first?
I don't know. You go first.
Okay,
Let me noodle.
Look, I have to give my take. Look, I said the same thing that I said in Clubhouse. We keep it all the way real. I have no problem with the prenuptial. Again, this life, there's certain principles that the Bible tells us about, right? And then there's certain principles that we made up along the way. Just in just the way our society works. And so I have no problem with the prenuptial. A lot of times, with even talking to Maru earlier this week, she said she had to think about her kids when she had her prenuptial, because see, when you have kids, from a previous marriage, that prenuptial can protect them, because what if something were to happen to her? She wants to make sure that her kids get guardianship, and actually taken care of the right way, because the prenuptial could protect your money, just like trust and things like that can as well. And so I personally do not have a problem with the prenup, even if someone presented me with the prenuptial. And it's not about that, they may not love you or they don't trust you or whatever, but this is what they build. And I know when you get married, it is a sacrifice, and you're coming together or whatever, but that doesn't mean that the prenuptial has to leave you out of it. Like, you could build your own prenuptial. It could have certain assets to it, or things that you can add to it, so it can protect you both in a way, depending on how it's actually built. So I don't see it as a bad thing. And like I was when I was talking to Maru, like, things change over time too. Like, while you're in your marriage, they can see you, and that could open up different things as well. So it is a level of protection. I know people, probably like, oh, well, you don't love me and blah blah. I mean, that's the way you see it. But at the same time, what I said is that you also have to look at, like, at this point, usually by the time you're presented with a prenuptial, your feelings are invested, right? And the person who is being presented to may not want to sign it. Do you go along with it because you just love that person? If that person is scared, what does love say about that? Are you going to cover their scaredness in love and just go ahead and sign it? Like, there's all the ways to think about it. You think the person who's handed out there is being mean or whatever, but at the same time, like, we say love is not this, and love's not envy and hate and all of that stuff or whatever. They could, and I know we said God didn't give us a spirit of being fearful and all of that, but we're still human. But just think, like, just because something is at the beginning doesn't mean it will stay that. Just like a marriage changes, and it's there are different ways, they go through different transitions. That policy could change throughout. I foresee is, like, I don't know. So I see a lot of other things, but I want to take too long because it's 7:30 right now, and so I know this is our last
8:30
question.
EST. Yes. I
So
mean,
yeah.
I think I said on Clubhouse that you know, if I have a lot of assets, if I'm coming to the table with a lot of assets, you know, I've worked so hard, and you know, I have a multitude of things where my money has multiplied, then I could see where I would probably be more inclined to present a prenup, right? And understanding what it serves. It's not that it's for the protection of the things that I have built while independent, right? And when I heard what Maru was saying, I understood her viewpoint as well. But some people look at prenups in a negative light as well. It's like, oh, you don't trust the person, you know, so that's why you're presenting them with a prenup. No, for me, if I have built all of this wealth, right, and if I have all of this money, and I just need to make sure that that stuff is protected, right? Because to your point, we don't go into it thinking that people are going to change, right? This is the long haul, right? We're in this thing for the long
Mm,
haul.
mm,
But we are
that's a good
human.
point.
We are human, and we're praying that, you know, the marriage stays intact, and no one acts, you know, no one takes off the mask and they somebody else. That is what we pray over this thing, and we make sure we stay at the feet of God in this thing. But for me, you know, I see a comment here with Debbie, like, if I was a billionaire, you know, I don't even have to get to billionaire status. If I'm building a lot of assets and things, like, I want to make sure that that stuff is protected, because that was me in a solo phase, right? Now you're coming in, and you're probably going to ask me the same thing. Once again, I think it just has to do with where you guys are. If you are aligning on the same goals, the same values, and if you're not feeling shaded by me asking you, then I won't be feeling shaded when you ask me, because I understand what it means, right? And so for everyone's situation is different. How people handle their financial journey is different, which is why I always say your financial journey is just that, it's yours, right? How you handle your money, how you set up your accounts, how you run your household, that's your thing. And so for me, knowing how I understand it to be, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Now that I have a
Right.
better understanding of what it's for. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Debbie says,
yes.
if I'm a billionaire and work hard for something before being married, I want to protect it. My hubby agrees.
Yeah.
And prenuptial is okay. Love it.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with trust. It's being wise. I love that. And a lot of people, you know, they get emotional. And this is why when people are presented with a prenuptial, it's actually
Take the
something
emotion out.
logical that they've
Yeah.
actually thought about. It's not based on feelings. It's based on logistics. And so if people study human behavior, right? And so logistically, we know that we're not going to be the same. And you know, especially if you have kids, you want it to protect it. Especially if you have an elder parent, you want your money to be protected. Because you know, things happen, and so we don't always do as we say we're going to do within marriage. And as you get older, that protection gets more crucial, right? You know, if you become incapacitated, what could your money do for you? There's just so many different things. Carol says relationships change with death as well. Yes, and it goes beyond love, and we have to protect ourselves in all areas of life. And I agree. Now, if you're like a power couple and you know everything there, you're going to grow. You know, like things are going to grow. Now, if you decide that, hey, okay, now we're going to fuse our assets, so we're going to take maybe half of our assets and put it together, and we're going to build that and let it grow. And then now you've conjoined something and you do have something to grow, but you still have something on the outside in case something happens. And, you know, everybody has to be, you know, okay with that. But, you know, that like I've even known people who, you know, their partner has done stuff behind their back, you know, and put things in their name. And so like that's disheartening. Like, you know, you trust. And so that's I can see like that transparency with, you know, going from single to marriage. Well, I tell you, I know that's definitely, you know, even though I can't wait, like I'm like, you know, I would love to have to just be rest and just rest. You know how you just rest in God's glory and God's everything and you just know he got it. Like that rest
You
would
got
be
it.
so awesome to have, but at the same time you gotta you know think here, use common sense sometimes and just,
And communicate. The whole thing with this is just communication. Just communicate. Just talk.
Yeah,
Talk it out.
definitely.
And this is why we wanted to bring this particular topic. We did it in Clubhouse. We wanted to bring it to Facebook to have this dialogue with you guys as well. Because, like we said earlier, a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about these things and having these
Right.
crucial conversations, as I call them. So, communication is key. It can open up, it can open up some woes, or it can, bring you wholeness, however you look at it. But I
Right.
think if you're out there and you're dating, hopefully we have given you some things to think about, some nuggets to take with you along your dating journey. And for those of you who are married, thank you guys for tuning in and just, giving us some nuggets as well, because one day we hope to be on that side as well. And so we just wanted to get input from those of you who are married now. You have gone through the dating, and what was your perspective? So this was very, very good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
All right. Yes. Excellent. We thank you guys. And there's so much more to talk about with dating. I mean, especially when you think about young people and when you're dating in college, you're both broke, right? And so, that
Yes.
can be, that's had some inspirational things in itself, and things like that. So there's so many access with the finances and things like that. So we just have so many different topics that we're going to be talking about. But our next topic, guys, is going to hit home. It's going to hit hard. Okay. People ain't going to like what we have to say, but it's still, we're just
No
opening up
judgment
dialogue.
zone.
It's no judgment zone. The church and finances. Now, look, I should bring my brother on, but he a little bit too much for y'all because he got a whole other perspective about the church, and
Yes, Lord.
Sometimes there's a love and hate relationship going on because it's not necessarily the church. God's church is the people who make up the church that cause so much friction and the things. And so, but I got some questions. I grilled my mama on these questions because she's a minister, and so we said we probably have to put something in between that because we had a heavy conversation, Miss Brown and I, about the church and finances. So that's our next topic. Look for it, and feel free, guys.
Yes.
We don't mind. You don't have to be an expert to be up here. Okay, life is an expert in itself. And we just want to open up these conversations and continue to have it. If you want to get with me, and I'm going to put myself up here real quick. Okay. Again, I'm your financial coach here out in Houston, Texas. If you want to get with me, I'm at go to www.thecashflowconvo.com. You can follow me here on Facebook. On every platform, I'm at Target Financial. But if you go to that website, you'll see all of my social media and everything. So we have a couple of freebies if you want to get them right now. Not on Dating Financially right now, but we both have some speaking engagement up. We let you guys know about that. So we're hitting the press real hard. And so just keep looking out. And then I will let Miss Yvonne come up here. Hold on. Let me take, and there you go.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much, guys. You can always find me weekly in my Facebook group. It is a private group for my queens. You can just go to my bio. It's group.affirmandpursue.com. Just answer some vetting questions. And if you align with the mission of the group, we'll let you on in. I have weekly lives there where women share their stories because I am all about letting people know that their glory story can help someone else transition over to the other side. And then my freebie for you is at affirmandpursue.com. You can go get that today, not yesterday, but today. So go grab that right now because I'm all about making sure that people understand the importance of having another stream of income. And so this ebook will help you, guide you through the 3 foundational steps to get you started on that journey. And as Rashida said, we will be on Clubhouse. You can join me. If you're on Clubhouse, find me at Yvonne Brown and join in the conversation. As you see us go live, pop on in, let us know what your thoughts are, and then we'll bring it back to Facebook as well. If you're not on Clubhouse, because I know right now it's just for iPhone users, we'll come back in and you guys can join us now. So I am at Yvonne Brown Exhales on Facebook, and also on Instagram. So I look forward to connecting with you guys. Thank you. You're muted. Rashida, you're muted.
So I just posted some of our last comments. Thank you so much, Debbie, Andrea, Carol, Lydell, I believe was
Hey,
with us
Andrea.
earlier.
Yes.
Misha was there, Dawn. So we thank you guys, or guys and ladies. I always say guys. And Carol was on with us earlier. So we appreciate all your participation. We love that the interaction was fire. So
yes, guys.
God bless you all. We want everybody to have a wonderful evening, wonderful weekend, and we will see you on the next live.
Take care, everybody. Right. Bye.
Bye.